This time of Yerushalmi Eruvin. We're supposed to be doing Daf Samach today, but we're going to start bottom of Samach Zayin on the base from Rabbi Abba's question, because we're going to continue up. Rabbi Abba's question below says 4 lines in the bottom of Samach Zayin on the base, and that in the Vilna is on Daf Samach base on the base, and it is the second line below the Mishnah. It's also second line below the Mishnah on in the article on Daf Samach Zayin on the base. Second line below the Mishnah on Samach base on the base in the Vilna. So we said Chokim Lashlim. The question is Chokim Lashlim relevant here or not? So Rabbi Abba Boy Lama Avad Rei Meir. When does Rei Meir say that the wall is considered to be chakuk, and therefore it's like it's Rishus Yachid, where the keyhole is begamum or benakuv? We have this gears issue. They say only where there's at least a platform or 4x4, and then you want to extend it to make Rishus Yachid by being chokek in order to make it 4x10. 4x4 by 10, you need at least some measure of 4 there, or even by knuckle, even with just a hole, and so we can go all the way through to the other side, like a door, like keyholes do. So therefore, it's as if it's chokuk on the other side, and it becomes like Horishus Yachid, or according to Reb Chaim Kanievsky's page yesterday, it becomes like a Carmelist because it's chokuk to the other side, but in any event, because knuckle to the other side, or is it even by only by gum or by knuckle? And it says in Afgina, in tamer begumum. If you're going to say it's only by gum, it says chokin lashim. Now, if you are mutter, then even if the keyhole is above 10 tefachim, it's mutter because it's it's just a keyhole. It's not gum, so therefore there's no issue of chokim lashim. In tamer knuckle, it's going to say it's knuckle. Even by knuckle, we say chokim lashim. That's it's through the other side. It's as if it's chakuk the other side, and the filomatim is started tefachim also even below 10 tefachim. It's also because either again according to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, because we say it's like a Carmelist, or because it's like we say it's according to Karmeda, it's a Chorish Yachid. So which is it? When we say what's the status of a nakuv? So not going to come back to this in too much later on, but we're going to deal with now with the Tzugi, which will relate back to this question. Okay, Pesach Ginos. So let's going to discuss the following case. You have an opening to a Gino. So you have opening Gino. Now in the Bible you have a similar case. We have an opening to a Gino. Right over here, the guy is trying to open his Gino. He's in the Rishus Yachid. He's getting the key from the Carmelist on the other side, and he's in his chotzer. The key's Gina's on the other side, and he's getting the key in order to open the Gina. Okay, so the Pesach Gino sheyesh lehem beis shar. So this is one, but there's no beis shar. So what do they have a beis shar? So you have a beis shar and bifnim. Now, in the Bavli, the size, at least according to Rashi, in the Bavli, the size of the lock is significant. According to Yerushalmi, now looking at the size of the lock. So Beis Shar Rivnim is this case over here. Beis Shar is the inside of the wall, and it's on the side of the Gina. See, it's the Gina, and here it's Beis Shar Mibachutz. Over here, the Gina is over here, and the Beis Shar is outside. Okay, so here it's the case where it's just Gina and no chotzer, not like this case over here. We have a Gina chotzer, but rather you have a case over here where it's a Gina just a rabbin. So here the just rabbin is on the outside, the Beis Shar is on the inside with the Gina. Here the Beis Shar is on the outside, it's just a rabbin. Right, this is the Gina on the inside. Okay, so they have these two cases. So the Pesach Gino, they have a Beis Shar on the inside in the Gino. Posech no bifnim. So then Posech and Noel on the inside. That's where the Beishar is, right? The Bechutz, if it's on the outside, Posech no Bechutz. You do it on the outside, right? Because that's where Beishar is. You go into the Beishar, use a key inside the Beishar on your door. So the what's its mikan. You have a Beishar on both sides. Posech no mikan. You can do both sides, no problem, right? Lo mikan. What do you have? No Beishar on either side. So what do you do then? You take the key, and you open, v'noel, and you close, and you put it down in your place. So let's see the Korban 8 on this. Lo mikan, right? You can't go put the key from the Karmelis or Shus Rabbi into Shus Yachid. Dainu Manul. In this case, he says the lock is the Shus Yachid, right? Because it's in the wall. He'll not have to Erev Shabbos. So he take them the key from Erev Shabbos. Noso Gabi Manul, and he put it on on top of the lock. And you stand on the threshold, and you take the key from the key itself, in order to open it. It's not considered you might bring it to that skupa, which is a karmelis. So the way he touches it, it's very much like the bavli, right? You take the key is over here. You can take it from here and use it inside the lock, right? You can't take it from down here. The skupa, which is a karmelis, it's just a rabbin. You can only take it over here and use it over here on the keel up there. Now that's again the Korban is going to Yerushalmi, but the Bavli's shot that the manual has some sort of bulk to it, but the Reb Chaim goes with what seems to be the Yerushalmi's mouth all the time, that the manual is flush with the door. So the way he learns it is that you put it kaimo doesn't mean you actually take it out of the lock and put it on top of the lock, but leave it in the lock. You have to leave it in the lock. You can't take it outside of the lock. Okay, so again, lo mikan. If you don't have a Beishar on either side, so they raising the mafteach, ubasech v'noel, umenichel koma, and leave it in its place. So again, the Korban 8 learns like the Yerushalmi, like the Bavli, nichum koimo, it's lamanul, right? I changed the gears in the Korban 8 to lamafteach al gabov. Which I think makes more sense. In other words, you put the key back on top of the lock. So the it's like a wooden lock which poor people make for the door, which has a thickness to it, so it has a top to it. But again, according to Reb Chaim, it means that you leave it on top, you leave it inside the keyhole. Okay, so when is this true that you can do this? I should say, when is it true that you must do it this way? When is it must do it this way? When the key is above 10 tefachim. When the keyhole is above 10 tefachim, right? The lock, the keyhole is above 10 tefachim. The keyhole is below 10 tefachim. Then you can take the key from the threshold. Okay, take it from the threshold. Again, imagine that you don't have that thick thing. You take it from the threshold. You don't have to have it taken from there or inside the keyhole. Take it from the threshold, lock, and put it back on the threshold. Now, Reb Chaim has a very interesting point here, which is that, so we should reference this. He says that in this case, where it's above 10 tvachim, in the case where it's above 10, you can't put in the skuba, which is a karmelis, because the lock itself is just a yachid, because it's now. But why can you even open it itself? Halacha is you're not allowed to stand in. We say not allowed to stand in Rishus Rabbim, open Rishus Yachid, right? And here saying the scope is a karmelis, so how are you allowed to open it? So he says it must be that a karmelis you're allowed to open Rishus Yachid. Even though, because even if you do take the key out of the lock and bring it to where you're standing now, you only bring it to a karmelis, right? So, and therefore, when it goes there, and say, let's not let you open it because you might bring it to yourself. The only time is if you're standing in Rishus Rabbim, Mamish, and then you shouldn't open Rishus Yachid because you might bring it back into your Rishus Rabbim. But when it goes there, in a karmelis. Okay, so back to this Gemara again. So if it's a lot and fundraising, and doesn't have to have telescope, you can take the key from the threshold, and open and close. When you come and put it back in the threshold, Divrei Meir. That's what Meir says. Okay, Chachamim say, even though the keyhole is above 10 tefachim, it's still not a problem. Everybody takes out the next few words. They take those words out. Practical probably takes out the text itself. Yeah, takes out the text itself. So even though Chachamim who never say you can even be about tvachim, you can avo b'shmal ma'asor tvachim. Maybe I'm after Erev Shabbos. You can bring them keep from Erev Shabbos. Put it down on the skopa. The Reb Chaim actually puts in the words of menicho b'skopa here. Uposeach, and you can open v'nichnas, and you go inside and bring the key inside. V'noel, and then take it back outside. V'nosel b'chor, and you can put a chor l'mal min mashkov. You can put it in a hole which is above the mashkov. See over here, and unless okay, now let's explain what's going on here. So according to Meir, we say choikim lashlim. So therefore, if it's above 10 tvachim, even though it's only nakuv, right? We say clearly that it's the Rishus Yachid, and therefore you have a problem. The key has to be left in the keyhole all of Shabbos. Okay, according to Bavli, on the key on the lock, according to Yerushalmi, in the keyhole. But according to Rabbanim, don't say chokim lashlim. So the keyhole is a makom ptur. It's above 10 tvachim, and we don't say chokim lashlim. It's not karmelis. It's not a chorish yachid. It's not anything. It's just a keyhole. It's a makom ptur. It's less than $1. So therefore, you can take the key from the sklipa, which is karmelis, put it into the makom ptur, which is the keyhole, and then take it inside. We'll come back to it in a second. And put it outside, put it in another makom ptur, which is this area up here, as long as that area is not 4x4, right? So it's still makom ptur. If it's 4x4, it'd be a problem, right? If it's 4x4, it's either it's a yachid, it would be a shus yachid. It's not either. It's a shus yachid, so therefore you couldn't put it there. But since it's less than 4x4, right? Then it's not a problem. So again, it's what it says. You can't go from rishus to rishus, right? You start from the sklepa, which is a karmelis, to ended up in the chalon, which is shus yachid, through the key lock, which is the makom ptur, that he can't do. Okay, but there's a problem here, which we glossed over, but now we have to go back and deal with it. How could you take the key inside? You just said that you can put the key. Before we said poseach and nichnas u'betatlu b'tach habayis. You can take the key inside, v'noel, and then take it back. What do you mean? The key start off on the scope in the Karmelis. You can't go through Makom. Can't use a Makom to go from Rishus Lishus. You use a both Rishus can use a Makom to, but you can't use a Makom to go from Rishus Lishus. So how did you allow to put the key in the keyhole from the Karmelis and then go inside and you carry it around in the Rishus Yachid inside the house? Reb Chaim, he bleibt schwer. He leaves the Tzarech here. He doesn't know. But evidently, it seems that I think that when it says it doesn't mean you actually take the key out of the keyhole. It means you can move the door back and forth. And a chanami, you couldn't move it from the door, from inside the door, but the door is now inside the Rishus Yachid, right? Because you opened the door, pushed in the door, and then so that should be usher. That's what we're matter. Not be matter taking it out of the keyhole and carrying around in the house. Or matter the fact that the door is going inside the house, and you're moving it with the door. That's okay. As long as you don't take it out of the door. Move the door back and forth is fine. Don't take it out of the door. I think that's the pshat. Okay, all this talk about that is nice, but now we have to bring it back to Rabbi Abba's question. And this is where the Gemara gets very difficult. How exactly be the next line in the Gemara? The Reb Chaim changes it completely. He says, Hadam Mara Nakigamum of Rabbi Yehuda, but Hadam Mara B'Nakuv of Rabbi Meir. Now, it's understandable to change Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Meir, because the Rabbi Abba's question was about Rabbi Meir. But what does it mean, Pinakov? So, yes, it's true that Rabbi Meir said by a hole which is above 10 tvachim. Fine. But, yeah. But if Knakov is by, you say, if you say by Nakov, so then also below 10 tvachim. Why below 10 tvachim is it okay? That was Rabbi Abba's whole premise. They say it's even by Nakov, if they chokim la'ashtin, there comes the Karmelis, there comes the Charish Siyachin, so then even below 10 tvachim, it should be an issue. Right? So, okay, I see by Nakov, it's a problem, but there's no problem below. So, if we go with the Girsa, which is in the Gemara itself, I'm sure the article changes it in the Gemara itself. Let's see. Yeah, he changes in the Gemara itself. But if we change to Rabbi Yehuda Meir, fine. But if we leave it Kagamum, so then perhaps there's the pshat. And this is just L'chaimer Inyan, because I don't have a better pshat. But I wrote this aside in my Gemara. Perhaps it's the fact that Meir was matir below 10 tvachim. They said it's only a problem above 10 tvachim. So it must be that really Meir holds, you only say Lashim where it's gamum. In other words, where there's a substantial 4 tvachim dimension, at least in one, maybe 2 directions. So then you can say Lashim for the second or third dimension. But the and therefore it's only a problem above 10. And so why is the problem above 10? So maybe that problem is above 10. Again, this is my understanding, and it's only because I don't see anybody else as a better shot, is because it's a Marisign. In other words, Enochanami. Really above 10, we should be matir as well. But it was machmir because Chayim only say by Gamum, not by Nakuv, right? And that says below 10 Vachim is okay. But nevertheless, since above 10 Vachim, so therefore we're machmir. And it could be that that's in the final analysis why we have these the kulas which we have, which like is opening, like we said before, either according to Reb Chaim, where he learns the kipshuto that you could actually leave it, take it out of the keyhole when you go inside and move around the house, although it's difficult. But according to the way we said, leaving the door and swing the door back and forth, because it's only a Marisign issue. Because otherwise, if it was a Mikra Din, it should be mutter. It should be also when the lock is even below 10 Fachim. If it's not also lock is below 10 Fachim, obviously Mikra Din, we only say Cholim Lashim Gamum, and it's a special Chumrah, which we have when it's above 10 Fachim. Okay, but we're not machmir, they can't swing the door back and forth. Maybe that's the pshat. Okay, so the next line more also unfortunately I have difficulty with. So Reb Chaim and the article changed the gears from Nichav Tzar Beishar Melchut Tzar Beishar Leim Tu Shtei Rishus B'Shem Rishus Rishusachas. They changed it to nicha mibachutz tzari beishar beishar mivnim tzari beishar. Why would you mivnim? And according to this, I understand the question is as follows, right? I understand on the outside I need a beishar because it's a Rishus Rabbim, but on the outside I need a beishar in a gina anyway. So what's the problem, right? So it's Rishus without the beishar. So loim tishtei Rishus stamso b'Rishus achas. So the isn't according to the way Chaim's learning, it means that, well, the Gina, there could be other Rishuyos there, and there's no Eruv, so if you don't have the Beis Shar there, so then don't you find two Rishuyos using one Rishus? In other words, they all have Rishus to access the gate, so therefore you need to have a Beis Shar in order to kind of like a separate Rishus, where the you put the key, and he ends with the tzarachin. What good does that do? They all have shlita in the Beishar. But I think that this, therefore, it's how you solve the problem. You have to say that's okay, but so Chayim required again. Chayim could more to open doors, so say okay, at least make the Beishar. So it doesn't look like shtei b'shus, mishtam shus achas, looks like a separate rishus. You have to say something along those lines. But I think it's you can keep the gears the way it is, and it's just quoting. We're saying nicha mivnim tzarich beishar, and it says on the inside need a beishar, and the beishar is effective because there is a it's the beishar of the gina, it's the beishar of the bnei b'shusam don't have any control over it, they don't have any access to it, so therefore it can work. Right, the Beishar on the inside works, and even though the Gina itself has no Eruv, but the Beishar is separate, and nobody else has Rishus over it, and therefore you can use it in order to open the door. But Mibachutza Beishar, but on the outside it requires Beishar. I mean that Beishar is effective. How can that be effective? Is a Beishar on the outside. The people of Rishus Rabbim are going to go into it too. The key is on the end. The lock is not on the outside Beishar, it's on the inside of the Beishar. So everybody, all the Rishus Rabbim are going to go into there. So if they're all going to go into there, and there's no error for them, right? Maybe on the inside you could say, okay, you need error, you don't need error. But in any event, the Beishar is shaykh only to people of the Gina, right? And they all consider them one Rishus. Again, even without an Erev, in the Beishar, they're Meko, and that's considered to be same along the lines we just said, Rechaim. But on the outside, all the Bnei Rishus Rabbim have access to it. So, and that's an extreme case of Shtei Rishus Mishtam Rishus Achas. So therefore, how can we possibly match it just because it's a Beishar that you can go in there and use the key, right? It's a publicly accessible place. It's no been any other Carmelists. What difference does it make? And according to this, the Gemara doesn't answer, right? There's that's all question, and no answer is given how a Beishar on the outside is effective at all. Just the article, he does add a little bit of a point, which makes the Chaim Kanievsky's pshat a little bit more glotz. He says that the mayor that the Gina is more than Beis Hosaim, so therefore the Beishar the Beishar is effective in order that to make it, even though it's not really Shtei Rishus, but the Beishar is effective in order to resolve that problem. So there would be Nicha Miachutza Tzar Beishar Bifnim Tzar Beishar. So it's because it's more than Beis Hosaim, so therefore somehow this makes it better. Although it's a little bit chosim in a sefer. What's the same? Also, the same reason, similar to a case of Shtei Rishus where we needed to set her up somehow. All right, so it's still very dochak. Be that as it may, let us go on to the next Mishnah. Halacha Yud. So Nagar sheyesh barosho klustera. Let's find the picture for this. Okay, so Nagar sheyesh barosho klustera means it has it's like the pestle, the mortar and pestle, right? So you have here, it has a little thickness at the top of it. Right thing. Yeah, see it there, a little thickness. A knob. That's where it's knob at the top of it. Okay. So Nagar Shesh Moshe Glustar Lezer Oser. Lezer says you can't use it in order to lock your door because it's like it's boina because you're sticking it into the ground or into this or when it's in the ground. The Korban says also on the side, sticking to the wall. It's the same issue. It says it's mutter because it has a teres kli. It doesn't look like you're being bona. Amr Abelazar said, "Ma'isa shall base Knesset Tveria." There's a story in the Shul in Tveria. Shul Nogin Boheter. They allowed to use this nagar sheish rosh kluster ajbar gamliel was came Oslam, and they forbade it. Rabbi Yosef made the opposite. They originally they asked it. Baruch Gamliel was came came and were matir for them. Okay, nagar hanigrar. Nagar nigrar means you have the no kluster, but it's tied on, but it's laying on the ground. It's dragging on the ground. So nagar nigrar. Nolim ba mikdash. You can use it in the base of mikdash. There's it's shvus there's carbonate. That's really carbonate. The shvus ba'amu ain't a boina mamish. Or the kasheru. It's the rabbanon because not to bona because it's tied on even though it doesn't have a knob. A lot of Negro Mexican bona it just looks like bona because it's dragging on the ground. V'ainshus to rabbanon mikdash lo goes to sham. There's no v'ainshus to mikdash to the base of mikdash. It's okay. Avlam but not outside the base of mikdash. V'munach, right? If it's lying down, it's not tied at all, right? So then it's a kamakan osir both places, but even base of mikdash. Rabbi Yehuda it's much more like boina. Having binyan mamish the Korban says I still think it's like more Mexican binyan, but it's more Mexican binyan. We don't have munach b'mikdash. If it's munach, you can still use the base in the base hamikdash. In the Medina, in the Medina, it has to be nigra. It has to be. I'm sorry. In the right the base of meat in the base of meat in the Medina it has to be nigra. It's the munach is not okay. Okay, so Gemara explains the lumdus of our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi K'tivei Mishim Matir. Those are Matir, which is Rabbi Yosef. In the case of the Nagar Sheshbo Glustra, also Nagar Tafel Glustra. It makes the Nagar, the stick part, Tafel to the knob, and you look at it like a pestle, right? The pestle, which uses the mortar in order to pound things, the keli. He asks Rabbi Lezer, he says, no, the main purpose, that may be for you actually using it, it's a pestle and a mortar, but here, using it to stick it into the wall or into the ground in order to lock the door, he makes the knob tafel to the nagar. Okay, so the Gemara goes on, next case. Ezu nagar. Now, in our Mishnah, it doesn't say, it means to say, Ezu nagar nigar. What's a nagar nigar? We said in the Mishnah, we explain like this, right? Even if it's lying on the ground. See if that's the case. Okay. Ezu nagar nigra. As long as it's tied, even though it's not hanging. Even if it's lying down on the ground. Amar Rabbi I think it's Rabbi Yechon. Meshchani. Yeah. I'm Rabbi Yechon. Meshchani Chilfai. Chilfai in the Bavli is Ilfa. It was Rabbi Yechon's chaver, which initially went out to do business. Rabbi Yechon went back and became Rosh Shiva. So Meshchani Chilfai Ilfa took me very Anisha based Rebbe. He showed me in Rebbe, their common Rebbe's house, that kosher al pishen totally. Taka was tied and it wasn't dangling. Rabbi Yechon said, "Asa di chidai the hachi." The shita. This is the going to the next part of Mishnah. As Carmen explains, the Rabbi Yehuda Damar Hacha Nigra Mutter Medina. Rabbi Yehuda says here that a nagar nigra is permitted in the outside the Beis Hamikdash. Kistama de Tamon goes like Kistama Tamon. Kachamim the missing pair called Kalim. It's like the Chachamim in the Mishnah in Parakol Kalim in Shabbos Ramu Benkach uBenkach Pokikimbo, who said no matter what you can use you can use a stopper to close up a window. There too, the stopper is tied on, even though it's not hanging. Udichida de Tamon, the individual Mishnah, Tana in the Mishnah there, who's Rabbi Eliezer, who did not only allow you to use the stopper. It's pkak, of course, is a cork in modern Hebrew, but there it's like a stopper that you put into a window. We had a picture of it earlier in the parak, in the Perish Chai. Yeah, it's this kind of thing, but here's the door, but it's the same principle. You put in a window, right? So the Chidot, again, the Tana, the individual Tana in Shabbos there, Rabbi Lezer, was only matter to use that stopper if it's kosher and toli, if it's both a hanging and dangling. Is the Tana like the Stam Tana in our Mishnah? He was only matir to use it if it's kosher v'toli, if it's tied and it's dangling. Okay, so Rabbi Yossi boy kumi Yossi kumi Rabbi Yossi hechav dinuda. What's halach l'maisa? Right, since we have the stam halacha seems to be machmir, right? The stam taman seems to be meko. What do we do? So says Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi said Meshchani chilfai v'rani shel beis Rebbe kosher aval bishen toli. See that in beis Rebbe as long as tied on, even though it wasn't dangling, it was okay. We do like Rabbi Yehuda Mishnah, even though stam of the Mishnah is that it has to be kosher and totally, but since it has to Rebbe, they did Rabbi Yehuda kosher, even though it's not totally. So that's what we that's like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, but now it says Achia kosher bedelis. This is the question is if this is a separate statement or a continuation of the statement before. But I think we do have a picture here regardless. Yeah. All of them actually here are tied to the door. Okay, the door tied to the door, not to the side, not to the wall. They're tied to the door. See that? All of them are actually tied to the door here. So the evidently that it was tied to that looks like it makes it more portable. And it was tied actually to the to the wall or to the floor. So again, you can learn this as a clause, and it's going on the previous line saying, yeah, that's because obviously, but kosher badelis, not kosher to the wall or to the floor. Or like Reb Chaim learns it, which is that okay, actually kosher badelis we know. It's like a piece, even though it's not explicit in the Mishnah, but we know this. Now let's explain this, and we're going to go on to explain it and qualify it further. Okay, it's not a significant difference. So Rabbi Yana Chamui, the Rabbi Yami said, "Achia kosher b'delos b'dovish yochel amido." It's got to be that it's got to be a strong enough connection to the door that it can actually hold it. In other words, you can hold it by the rope, not by not hold the stick itself, but hold the rope and pull it up by the rope. The rope is strong enough that it's not going to snap if you pull the stick up by the rope. Nagra does Rabbi Lezer, the stick in the house of Rabbi Lezer. It's like it says Hada Rabbi Lezer. I think it's like you don't have to change the but the one of Rabbi Lezer Kata Begemi. He used Gemi. This is the rope made of fiber. fiber made from a reed. And evidently the point is, according to the Perish Chai, it doesn't. It's not one long rope. It's like in segments. So, but in any event, it's not strong. And evidently, he's Mako says it doesn't have to be that it's doesn't have to be that it's reed is a bulrush. So it doesn't have to be strong enough. It's sufficient that it's symbolic. Ishmat, if it fell off the rope, then it's also you can't use it. You can't use it. Nikmaz. Now, two interpretations here. One interpretation is that nikmaz is Chaim says it's like the rope got frayed, or he says maybe the exact language he says is lo nikmat mamish nikmat, creased. Okay, but the Bavli, Nikmaz is a very interpretation. The art school goes at the Bavli. Nikmaz means if the hole into which the Nagar goes all the way into the ground, not just into the threshold. Not just the scoop goes all the way to the ground, then it's Osir. So then it's Nikmaz, Rabbi Yaakov, you can't push it into the ground. So Rabbi Yaakov Bar Acha B'Shem Rabbanan said, and this is according to the Reb Chaim, it's a separate statement. It's not going back on Nikmaz. It's just am I right about that? No, I'm wrong. Sorry. That's going to the next statement. Nikmaz Tzivdei Baroshe Etzbo Sav. You should do a shinui. Should make a shinui in the way you carry it, because the rope has become frayed or whatever the case may be. But that's according to that Reb Chaim shot. According to the shot based on the Bavli, Nikmas Rabbi Yaakov Baruch Hashem Rabbanan said, "Mitadei Baroshe Etzbo Esav" means you gently put it into the hole so it doesn't go all the way down to the ground, very gently. Okay, Korban says you put it in gently. It's not nikar b'kaboina, but I think it means that you don't shove it in all the way. According to that shot, you just have to push it in gently so it doesn't go all the way down. The Reibar Barkana, Bechia Barashim Shem Rav said Aloha Karabiosi, and as Chaim says and Moshe says here, there's nothing to do with here. El Hasim Shabbos going to Shabbos, and it goes on the Shabbos there. About the Resim Sham, it's going to Resim the Mishnah there. Svil Chalik Kisui Kalim Sheishlam Beis Achiza, an issue where you have cover kalim which have kalim in the ground, and they have a Rabbanan say kisu kalim if they have a basic kisu, they have a handle. It says that's only true by a kisui of a keli which is in the ground, but a kisu like if you have a garbage can in the ground and have to take off its lid. But a kisui regular keli, it doesn't have to have a handle, and that we pass in Rabbi Yossi that the handle is unnecessary only if it's in the ground, not if it's off the ground. Okay, this says the next Mishnah. This might possibly be the longest blot we've ever had. Machzir, in terms of time. Machzirin. I don't know if I have a picture in the Perish Chai. Yeah, we do. No. Machzirin tira tachton b'mikdash avolo b'medina. So this is a picture here. I don't see a picture. If you have oh yeah, we do. You have a box, and the lower hinge of the box came out. Right? Can you put it back? So you can put it back in the Beis Hamikdash, the Avolot Medina. So the Kermit says, "Lazin tzatan shel del chalon or shida tiva migdal of some sort of furniture should be schim b'tzideim that has an opening on the side. It's here tachton kozman shel yatsa elyon noch zero. The lower hinge, as long as the upper hinge not come out, it's easy to put it back. Vein kambinyan avlo b'dina. Why? Because shem yitka begarzer malkevus, because you might come to put it back by making a solid fix with an axe or a hammer. And that's obviously the melacha of Makabeh Patish. Elyon kan v'kan oser. If the upper hinge came out of this sideways door, you can't put it back because that's much more Mexican bona, even the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, so they weren't matir that even the Beis HaMikdash. Machzir Ritia b'Mikdash. There's another comment puts in a line here. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, it says, is in the art scroll. It's art scroll has it. It's not in the Vilna. The Korban says put it in. You know, Elyon b'Mikdash v'tachton b'Medina. He says no, in the Medina, in the tachton you put it back even in Medina, right? And in the Beis HaMikdash you didn't put back the Elyon. Yeah, okay, it's very similar to what he said in the previous Mishnah, right? That he said that here too he's saying, it was more maker saying that the Elyon is allowed to put back to the Beis HaMikdash because ultimately it's not really boinek because it's in Keli, right? And in Medina you're allowed to put back even the Tachton allowed to put it back in Medina, not like the Tanakh Mishnah. Okay, that is the middle of the Mishnah, but that's the end of the Yom. But like I said, this is the longest daf we've ever had, I think, in the Yerushalmi. So we will stop here.